My gosh, that might have been one of the worst games of the season and still almost came away with a point. That no call trip on Luke on the power play there at the end is absolutely brutal by the refs. Absolutely horrendous officiating. That is insane. Just like Bill said on the broadcast, you don't want to decide the game as the ref. Well, you definitely put your finger on the lever a bit there by not calling a very obvious, blatant penalty. All that being said, yeah, we got basically dominated. Arguably one of, if not our worst games of the season, in my opinion. The end definitely made it feel a lot better, though. I love to see the effort and drive out of the boys to really come close to making that comeback come to fruition. But unfortunately, you can put a little bit on the refs there. But all in all, Vancouver outplayed us the majority of that game. Probably deserved the win, but still stings a little bit. So let's go ahead and cover the game from start to finish. The first period, we were very lucky to get out 0-0. That was a very clear goaltender interference call. They made the right call, getting the goal pulled back on that one. So hey, they did one little bit of good officiating there, and then afterwards, not so much. Vancouver completely controlled play. We had the one Dawson Mercer breakaway with the good save by Demko. Otherwise, chances were very few and far between. It was like, what, 6 shots or something to their 17, 18 or whatever it was in the first. Again, very lucky to get out 0-0. Felt good going into the intermission, thinking, hey, clearly we don't have our legs under us on the back-to-back. Vancouver's absolutely flying. Maybe if we can just kind of grind out a gritty little win here, it would feel good. Instead, Vancouver just continues to come out flying at the start of the second period there. Pedersen starts off the score with a beautiful redirection tip. That's just a very nice goal by a very elite player. Really, this was Vancouver's elite guys completely taking over in the scoring department. Our depth defensemen, for the most part, a lot of depth guys for us, kind of almost got us back into it at the end. I mean, you could argue we were missing half of our top six. Definitely our most dynamic and best offensive player in Jack, an absolute glue guy in Palat, and even Timo, who has not had the best start to the season here, still, has that capability in him, and it was really coming on before that most recent injury. But Vancouver really poured it on there. From there was the JT Miller not kick in goal. He thought it was probably a kick. I thought it was probably a kick, but we can't challenge that. The NHL does review it. They said it was not a kick, so NHL said it wasn't, so I guess it wasn't. But I don't know. I feel like I've seen goals called back from Devils doing the exact same thing and it counting as a kicked in goal. But again, can't challenge it. NHL does review it. They say it's not a kick. 2-0 Vancouver. Not too long later, it is then 3-0 Vancouver off of another JT Miller goal. Miller ends up scoring 4 goals in total in this one. Well, 2 between JT and then 2 between Colin, but we'll get to Colin Miller here in a second. JT Miller makes it 3-0 Vancouver off of a beautiful pass by Elias Pettersson. He basically has a fairly wide open net to get a one-timer shot off into. Again, fairly good just NHL play by very elite offensive players on Vancouver. There's a reason they're the top team in the Pacific and one of the best teams in the NHL right now. Yes, they're riding a bit of a PTO bender across the entire season, but when you got that type of elite setup and elite finishing talent, it's going to make your shooting percentage look inflated. But to be honest, while I do think it does come down a little bit, it's already come down a bit from the start of the season. They probably will end the season as one of the top shooting percentage teams in the entire NHL. Now, the comeback started. Colin Miller began it with an absolute howitzer from the blue line. Demko probably could have had it, but it was a gorgeous screen. Fairly set play, I would assume, off of the faceoff. McLeod wins the faceoff. Lazar taps it over to Miller, who we know has a bomb from the blue line. Holtz takes his pathing right to drag the defender that's on him, and of course himself, in front of Demko's shot line. And the puck goes in basically through a 3-person screen. And I'm assuming that's how it was drawn up, and you love to see those type of plays executed. Holla, right towards the end of the period, which should have been the last goal of the period, but was not, makes it a 1-goal game. Very great setup from Bratt. You love to see that. He was very good in this one. Relatively compared to the whole team. Again, I think this was just overall one of our worst games. Not from an effort standpoint. Obviously, we kept trying throughout the entire game. We made it very close there at the end. But, geez, Vancouver really did control play for almost the entire thing here. But they didn't control all of it. As Bratt did get that great setup. Shout out to Luke on staying on side. Shout out to Brendan Smith for scoring yet again. You love to see that for him. He gets his first multi-point game in this one. Colin Miller does end up scoring again in the third period. He gets his first 2-goal game, but that's not how the period ended, as Dawes gives up one he really cannot give up. Yeah, the defenders probably need to play that better. I think Marino needed to rush that back post there. There was another Devils player to guard the front of the net. Marino needs to get to that back post quicker, but Dawes cannot give up that type of wraparound goal there. That was an absolute punch in the gut killer goal to give Vancouver the 2-goal lead yet again heading into the second intermission. Then there actually was some life for us there in the third, except at the start of it, where Elias Pettersson once again shows up, and Quinn Hughes had a couple of assists. I think basically all their top scorers just, again, really dominated there. Pettersson has some great patience, kind of sneaks his way into the center of the ice there. Great offensive setup, great shot. I didn't catch. I would have liked to have seen at least a few more angles on that one from my perspective to just judge where that one really did fall apart. If I put that one more on the defense, if maybe Dawes should have had a better save there. But again, a guy alone out front like that, especially an elite player like Pettersson, not gonna put that one too much on the goalie. I do put the fourth one on Dawes completely, but he still gave up 4 other ones. He made a lot of really good saves. There was a lot of shots against on that one. But you hope maybe just don't give up that fourth one. It's heading to overtime. Maybe make one miraculous save on one of the others. You never know. But again, I'm not going to qualm too much about losing this one. We probably did deserve it. But we made it interesting, as the back half of the third period there really did make it close. Colin Miller gets another goal. We had the who was the fourth one there? It was we had the Holla, then the Miller, and another Miller, and the Smith for the 4 goals. That's what it was. It was close, guys. Again, we talked about the top. The Luke Hughes trip was a trip that needed to be called. I liked the movement, but really you could tell from there it was very hard getting set up on the power play after that. We still did get some passing around. I did not have any issues with taking their time on the shot while still on the power play portion with the goalie pulled, because one, good block or anything, the puck's down the ice into the empty net because there's no risk of the icing. So I don't mind them trying to pick their spot there, because there was a good amount of runtime after the power play to still let the pulled man have the man advantage and still try and tie it up. But that's not how it played out. Instead, Joshua comes out of the box, wins some puck battles, gets the empty net goal, and the game ends up ending 6-4. Not too much else to pull away there. Vancouver dominated. They had the fresher legs. They just ran us over a bit there. I was ready to say this was a game to just throw into the trash bin and not worry about too much, but we made it interesting. So you love to see that effort, especially from a lot of bottom of the lineup, third pairing-esque, if not straight up third pairing or even scratchable defensemen, really putting us and keeping us in it there. And yeah, that's really the story of the game. Nemec continues to impress for me. Holtz continues to impress for me. I thought Bratt and Nico had decent games, but again, just all in all, I think overall the team was not really the best from anyone. Mikey gets another assist, so that's a great point streak from him there, so you love to see that. Sieg's getting hurt. It was nice for Miller to slide down, but between Clark getting almost no time, shout out to Clark, NHL debut. Did not like his game from the eye test, going to be honest. Lots of his puck handling to me was just kind of give-overs. You could tell he was really finding his flow. Yes, first NHL game, and in a game where the whole team's getting run over, I'm not going to rip him too much there. I would like to see him get a bit more time, but if anyone comes back healthy, he's probably the first guy out, and I really don't have much of an issue with that. You don't get a lot of chances when you are like fourth guy on the pecking order of getting called up and getting a start in the game. So you got to make the most of it when it happens. Unfortunately, he was in a game where everyone got run over, so maybe he didn't really get to show off what he could do, but that's how it goes in the NHL. So yeah, very small sample. He did not get a lot of ice. It was not a great game to really show off your stuff, but from the little bit I did see of him there, wasn't the best showing in my opinion. And Dawes got absolutely blown up as far as shots on net. He gave up 5. One of them I put a lot on him. The other ones I can make excuses for sure, especially with the way that Vancouver drove us into the ground for most of that game. So Yeah, gonna set and forget this one really for the most part. Love the effort at the end to almost make it a miraculous comeback that just did not come to fruition. So gonna call it there. Get a 4 day break, especially with my new release schedule. Gonna enjoy that. And yeah, let's get back to it. It's a tough schedule coming up here. Lightning, Boston, and Florida. Yeah, all out of division games, but as of this recording at least, and I believe with the slated games for the rest of the night, we should end the night still in a playoff position. Still not even halfway through the season though, so don't get caught up standings watching. Gonna go ahead and call it here. I will see you guys in 5 days uh, to react to the Tampa Bay Lightning game. So decompress. Most of the season has been played outside of a playoff spot. Should be able to go tonight to bed tonight in one. That's a long break. We probably will end up outside of the playoffs again with 4 days off, but we'll see. We will see for sure. Depending what division games end up playing out, other guys on breaks, yada yada. You know that stuff how it goes. So, yeah, gonna call it here. I'll see you guys. Enjoy it as always and forever. Let's go Devils.